The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sister Speak. You're here with me, Fareed, and we also have in the studio
me, Mariam,
and me, Sonia.
Our main topic for today is reflection on our faith and values and how they both link and what values we learn from religion. So before we get started, Sanya, would you like to tell everyone what our show is about, please?
Yes, our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics, social media, etc. Please note that all opinions/views are our own, and we respect all other opposing or similar views and opinions.
Thank you. Please know that this is a pre-recorded show. So if you do want to message us or let us know any thoughts that you might have, you can message us where, Mariam?
They can message us on @SisterSpeak on Instagram, or they can message us on Inspire FM on Facebook.
Yeah, so this is our third episode of our Ramadan series, where the whole theme is reflection, because it is the month of Ramadan. So we're going to get started with our thought for the week segment, when we say anything random, anything that we've learned during the week. So I'm just going to start with Mariam. What is your thought of the week?
I had a very strong feeling that you would ask me. I haven't done thought of the week in a while, so this is quite nice. So my thought of the week is essentially about Ramadan, since we have covered over half now. No, not half. It's been 1/3 of Ramadan has already passed, and that's quite a lot of time that has passed by. And my kind of thought of the week is about how we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves if we feel like we haven't achieved the milestones that we want to, especially people who are studying, people who are working professionals. I think it's sometimes really easy to fall in a trap where you think that you've set unrealistic goals for yourself and then you feel very depleted. So my thought of the week is about setting some realistic goals for yourself and thinking about the longevity of your goals. So if you want to introduce a habit that you can continue after Ramadan, I think that's what Ramadan is about. It's a spiritual boost. And I also think at the same time you try to adopt new habits in terms of reading more Quran, because Ramadan is a month of Quran. But I think it's very good to have a very optimistic view of Ramadan and not to just hold yourself back just because it hasn't gone the way you thought it has.
Yep, thank you for that. I think it's very true, and we do tend to set some unrealistic goals, which is, I think, sometimes is okay, but if you don't get it, to not be really hard on yourself. Sania, what is your thought of the week?
Hey, so my thought of the week is completely different. It's not really about Ramadan, but it is about a reflection. So basically, last week at work, we feel like I had a tough week at work. These challenges come, that's quite normal, right? But I did definitely have some, I guess you could say, lashing out moments, which is natural. Again, if you're not feeling 100%, you're going to have moments where you're not, yourself, I guess, and you're not you when you're hungry as well, because I was fasting. So yeah, that was a bit of a difficult time, but basically I guess you could say, taking it out on people around me, which I felt was fair at the time. I was like, no, this is the situation, you're not being helpful, I'm going to take it out on you. Looking back, obviously it's a reflection thing. You think, oh, even if it might have been their fault, let me not do that. It's a bit sad, and you all work together, you're a team at the end of the day. And I guess you could say this in any context, with family, with friends, and so on. So I immediately, and I think this is very important, to take accountability straight away, as quick as you can, just take it. And I immediately literally called up one of my teammates, and they were working from home that day, that's why I had to call them. And I was like, hi, I'm sorry about earlier. And the thing is, they didn't even know. They were like, what are you talking about? What are you sorry for? And I was like, it's fine if you don't care, but I know that I wasn't being myself towards you. I was a bit harsh, I was a bit abrupt and thingy. And they might have not, like I said, he didn't even realise himself. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Sonia. But I felt like I was a bit harsh. So I was like, let me just quickly, I am sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And then we were like, let's move on. And, it clears your conscience a bit as well. It's a bit selfish, but it's for your own happiness and peace of mind. Just take that accountability.
I love how he didn't know that you even did something, and the fact that you held accountability for yourself is really important, because I think I don't do it. I think everyone's been having a kind of tough
Rough
week.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's because it was the first week of Ramadan, but I've been feeling so like just being angry at everyone, hungry, like Mariam says sometimes.
Yeah, and obviously it's not easy, but you have to like train yourself almost to like hold your tongue and have that peace with yourself.
And I think one point that you said, I don't think it's selfish to ask people for forgiveness. I think it's about taking accountability, as you have mentioned, and I think it's a mark of good character. To be able to recognize that I have fallen short and therefore I'm going to ask forgiveness, because we all are striving for Jannah, and essentially if we've harmed someone, if we hurt someone, even if they don't feel like they have received that end, I think it's important for our own character building that we do that, because we don't know. There's uncertainty in that regard, and I'm glad that he did mention that, so he acknowledged it. But I think it's really important in terms of just adopting that view, irrespective if they don't feel it.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Mariam.
That's like, so I'm gonna move to my thought of the week. I've also been having a really rough week, and I've been trying to not talk with anyone kind of. So I did tell one of my friends, she was like, why are you acting like such a weirdo? And I was fasting like the whole week, and we were tired. It was like, now we don't have to eat. It's like going back into the routine, fasting and studying. And everyone around me was kind of like, what are you doing? And I just didn't even think that I was doing anything. I was just sad completely for no reason. And it was matter of miscommunication with one of my friends, because it just happens in social lives. So I talked with another friend, and I was like, can you just give me advice on what should I do? And she said, you just have to talk with that person. And on the other side, she didn't even know that something happened, and that's why I was sad. So she was just like, I didn't even know all of this happened. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened with you. It's the same thing that happened with you. So I was just like, well, now that you know what we're gonna do. She was like, it's not that deep. Just let's just move on.
But it's good that you raised it in the first place, so it's cleared your mind and hers as well. Like there's no, I guess, room for error or like miscommunication. Like you've had that communication, so that was really good.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done it if I didn't ask for advice, which I think is really important. So the whole week I was just thinking about what should I do, but I didn't tell anyone. And then when I was getting sick of like my own mind and my own thoughts, I was like, let me just ask someone. So thank you guys for your thought of the week. Really good. Now we are going to move to our hot topic. So I was scrolling down on BBC News the other day, and there was a news about Muslims told not to pray at a Canadian train station. Apparently, the rail company said that a Muslim was bothering customers by praying. He was like sitting down, and the guy that was praying, he made a video, and he was saying, I was just sitting there, I was just praying before, like it was, I don't know what, I think it was the whole time. So I just want to get your thoughts on this, because we did have a show on how to find like prayer spaces and stuff like that. So Mariam, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I think I also watched that video, and he said that there was literally no one there where he was praying. And so when he was asking the police officer who has been uncomfortable, he had a no answer, because the area that he prayed in was empty. And so I think it kind of begs the question is that if it was another person that was observing a different religious belief or a different ideology, would the same kind of reaction happen? And I think it's, in my personal opinion, I feel like Islamophobia is something that's so prevalent and it's so acceptable. But if it was another religion, I don't see the same reaction.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mariam. I find it so outrageous. And what you just said, it's pure Islamophobic. Like I believe that. And you're right, because it's just being brushed under the carpet. It's accepted. It's just carry on. It's like, no, if that was any other belief or religion or anything, I feel like it wouldn't be. It would be an outrage. But for me, even before the part that it's that he was praying, honestly, we've all travelled by train and public transport. People can do anything. You can do anything you want. You can, well, I don't mean to do this, but if you ask for money, that in a lot of train stations, that's actually illegal. You're not supposed to be busking or asking for money, but it happens all the time. So I think like loads of little things like that. Just people are singing. That's discomforting sometimes when you're trying to get on by your day. There's someone who's minding their business. Like we know how our prayers are, right? They're quiet if you're doing it to yourself. He was sitting in a seat, not taking up anyone else's personal space. I just don't understand how that can affect or harm someone else. It can't. That's Islamophobia, because you're not even affecting anyone else, yet they're pulling you up on it. So
it's a perceived threat, and that's what Islamophobia comes in, because he chose a space where there was no one. And so who was being affected by this?
Yeah, but how? I don't mean to go into it, but how are you even affected by someone praying, minding their business? They're not including you in the prayer. They're not going over your, I don't know, personal space. They're not delaying your train. It just doesn't make any sense to me how that would even affect your personal space.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've all been on public transport. Think about on the train, if someone's sitting there praying to themselves in any faith or religion, just how is that going to affect you?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
The train company are investigating this, and they said that they are going to look into what exactly happened, but there hasn't been much conversation after that.
Yeah, they did apologize. They said a message saying, I apologize to the Muslim community. And like you said, there's so many things that we see as acceptable in a train station and in any public area. And it's such a normal thing to us, and it should be such a normal thing to other people, because we're not doing anything. He was just sitting there.
Do you know what annoys me? That real issues that happen, because like I said, we've all been on public transport, never get pulled up on. Like, I feel like on a train platform, there can be incidents where someone may be following someone else, or someone's making you feel uncomfortable just by maybe not leaving you alone, talking to you, harassing you. I see it all the time, and those things are never pulled up on, or it's like things that never really get recognized. Or where's the train attendant then? You know what I mean? The person on the platform, then they're not there. But when someone's really minding their business, for me that's pure Islamophobia, personally. It
is. He was sitting quiet, and it was such a peaceful act. It's for us, and everyone sees that's a peaceful act. So I think it is all about Islamophobia. So I just want to ask you guys, so like we said, it's so difficult to pray outside, and we can't find any prayer spaces where to pray. We don't want to miss our prayer times. So any time that you guys were out and you was like, where am I going to pray, or you faced this yourself?
I think for me personally, it happens a lot just because I commute to work, and I have a lot of events outside of Luton, and I think it's so difficult because I want to pray on the train, and it might be remotely empty, but I'm just so scared to lift my hand because I'm scared that someone's gonna catch me off guard, because obviously if I'm focusing on prayer, I can have a peripheral view of what's happening around me, but if that's not, it doesn't help me in terms of my prayer. So I do feel like I know this Islamophobia exists, and I know that I'm vulnerable in that state, and it's not going to be accepted.
Oh, Mariam, that made me so sad, because I know, like, with the tube, especially if we're talking about the UK Underground, we used to say to each other, me and my friends, when we were travelling, like, don't say kind of Islamic phrases even on the train. Like, we would even be scared to say things like mashallah, alhamdulillah, just in conversation, or assalamu alaikum. So I can't even imagine you making things that people know is Islamic with prayer, obviously. That's so scary. I actually, if you have done it before, like, well done to you. But it's so weird that we're, I don't know, like in 2023 in London, I'm like a very multicultural, diverse society, and we still, I mean, the mayor is literally Muslim as well, but we still feel those fears, and we shouldn't. But I understand totally where you're coming from. That is scary.
I've had a couple of instances. Once I was on the train and it was completely empty, and this little girl, she wanted to come sit next to me, and then her mother just looked at me and she pulled her back, and I just thought that it's extremely obvious. What are you teaching your child? To me, I was like, okay, I'll put my bag there, but what are you teaching your child? You're teaching your child to be, intolerant. And then there's the whole conversation about prevent, right? You're instilling, this extremist views. I would argue that's extreme views. Why are you telling this child to go away from someone? Why? Because this person observes a different belief or visibly looks something like something else.
Yeah, that's so weird and messed up. And again, when you put it in any other context, it would be unacceptable, right? Like, I'm just giving an example. I used to have pink hair, so I can say this, but if someone had pink hair on the tube and you grabbed your child and said, don't go and sit next to them, everyone else would be like, oh, you're being mean, you're being horrible. Like, it's just their hair, it's their choice. They're not affecting you with their pink hair. So why is it not the same for us when you're visibly Muslim on the train? But yeah, that's so, I know there's probably endless stories you have.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's so bad. And I've seen so many videos. And when I go out with my friends, if someone's that's not Muslim in the group, they're like, okay, you guys pray. I'll just keep a watch in case someone's coming. Because, okay, people can ask, well, what are you doing? And she can say we're praying. But people that come and be like, they're just trying to, be rude about it.
Or disrupt, or like you said, grab their kids away and cause a scene or report you. That's when it's wrong.
And Islam is I think it's growing, like everyone knows about it in the UK. It's everyone's they're converting, or everyone just knows about it.
But this is the thing I don't get, because when I was in school, we learnt about at least 6 different faiths, and we learnt that there's more that you might not even know about or practice in different cultures and across the world. I thought everybody learns that, and then as you grow older, you meet people and they don't know, and it's like, but wait, hold on a minute, like, why do you not know about other people's religions? I find that really weird.
I think it's an underlying Islamophobia because other faiths are seen as religious and practicing. It's the whole conversation about how a Muslim woman will wear a abaya, or they will cover from top to toe, and then a person from the Christian faith will do the same, but they're attributed to being religious and we're attributed to being oppressed.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's this binary already in place where people just think that if you're Muslim, you already are in a place where you have a very retractive or primitive mentality, or you are oppressed, because that's what they want to attribute to. And I think one of the things that people feel threatened by Muslims is that they don't be shackled by what the current community wants to do, and we don't comply to those kind of standards. We have our own standards. I think that's the problem that they see, and so they can't conceptualize that.
Yeah, that we're not like letting go of our faith, almost like we're not worried or scared, and we don't kind of compromise. We still try our best.
And that's a very powerful thing to have, I think.
That's why they are scared.
Yeah, I agree. They just think that we're going to take over the world or something just because we practice
if
our
you even look
religion.
at in terms of data, in the UK, Muslims are the most charitable people in the UK. So what does that say? That's quite indicative of the entire group.
Yeah, and that is. But these statistics get forgotten about, obviously.
They don't even be talked about. Did you know about that statistics?
I only knew recently because we were talking about how Luton is also one of the most charitable places in the UK. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, wow, I didn't know
I think
that.
we're only behind Bedford or something like that. But Luton, I mean, that's like such a good statistic, right? Because we have such negative portrayal in the media. And then I looked into that as well. But and I have to say with Luton, I do believe that is our own South Asian community, the Muslim community, obviously non-Muslims too, but that is probably a really big part of it, which we know that we love to raise money, and it's part of our religion anyway to be donating to charity. So that's probably why as well.
Yeah, I think we're just everywhere. Everywhere you go, every single charity, every single job place, there's always one Muslim. So I just think that everyone should stop being,
fearful.
Literally be open-minded. It's a peaceful religion for us. They should see it as peaceful as well. We're not doing anything, and it's, as you said, a quiet prayer. So
yeah, back to your question that you asked about where we pray.
Yeah, so where do you pray?
Luckily for me, I think because I have a car and usually I transport in the car, it's okay to do it in your car. Then even then, Mariam, I would say I would be vigilant about where I may be parked up, because you just don't know what other people are thinking. Literally, like even if they're just walking by and see you, it's just people are really, I guess, ignorant, and they don't know what you're doing, or they do, but they have a completely misconception of what our religion is. I think that's what I usually find. But yeah, I'm lucky that I work in a office which we have a designated prayer space, and it's for all faiths. We always say that, it's not just for Muslims. We've got the carpet prayer mat, but also we've got little other sections. So it's like if you want to practice your faith in there, do whatever you need to do, you can do that. So I'm lucky that I have the designated prayer space at work, and wherever you guys work or go to, I think that's a very important part. That's essential.
Yeah, I think everyone should have it, and everyone should be minded that if you're going to come here, you're going to work here, then there should be a designated space for us. Like there's in college, there's a prayer room, but I really don't feel comfortable going into because it's always so packed. So
Really?
yeah, so I just have a little story to tell. There's a little room where it's like for language students. So I was just about to pray, and this lady, she came and she started knocking on the door, and I was in the middle of my prayer, so I couldn't do anything, and the door was locked. So when I finished, and my friend was sitting there praying as well. So when we finished, we opened the door and she said, "What are you doing?" Literally, what are you doing? And I was like, she's one of the teachers and she should know there's a prayer room. So she just kicked me out, and we were like, okay, like we're not doing anything. You're not even going to use the room.
Is it like the window transparent?
Yeah, she saw me with the prayer mat and everything. She wasn't even going to use the room, to be honest. She just didn't want. She said, "There's a prayer room for you, I think." She said, "There's a prayer room."
That is absolutely shocking.
It was so horrible, and I was like, "Who is this lady? Where did she come from?"
Oh my gosh, Mariam.
I just want to say that I think the way she approached you was completely out of order, because firstly, in case you can't assume that every student will know where this prayer room is. That's in terms of accessibility. The second thing is that yes, there is a prayer room that is available there, but then that begs the question: why shouldn't the teacher ask you, the students, why didn't you choose the prayer space? Is there a situation that has forced you to pray in this space? So I think as a teacher, she's completely failed in terms of her responsibility towards asking, is there adequate provisions in place for you as a student in this sixth form? And if there isn't, how can we help?
Yeah.
But that didn't
I
happen.
agree. And also just the way she approached you, like you said,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter what you were doing. You were not, like I said, vandalizing or doing anything. Obviously, you weren't doing something wrong. You weren't stealing items or anything.
Yeah.
So she did not have to speak to you like that. And that was so, so wrong.
It was so rude.
I think there's teachers go through cultural competence training. They go through unbiased training. Where would that training go? How can she not understand how to exercise that? I would actually say you should report her in all cases.
I did say that to you, Fareen.
I think you should report her because people like her perpetuate this kind of misunderstanding against Muslims. And I think that people who, and I think that's as well, I think with us as well, we're very scared to report people who mistreat us because we also think that it's convoluted or they're going to misunderstand what we're saying. It's our word, it's hearsay, it's my word against theirs. But if we don't report it and we don't take that one step, then no one's going to report anything. And I think it's just so important. I think it is quite difficult. You are in a vulnerable position when you are reporting it, because even when I went to sixth form, I reported against a certain teacher and it was horrible because the whole department was against me. That's another story for another day. But I'm very passionate about that. I think, students have rights and they should be able to report when something's gone wrong. And every teacher has DBS, and I'm very passionate about this DBS. If you have a DBS, you are supposed to protect the safety of your students, and observing a religion is your protected characteristic. She should know that.
You are like, as a teacher, you're expected, you meet so many students from so many backgrounds and so many religions.
You should know. And let's not like try and beat around the bush here. There are so many Muslims in Luton and in your establishment that you attend as well. So for her not to recognize what you were doing in that moment is just silly as well. Like, I would like to think that if I saw someone of another faith praying, I would be able to recognize it. I'm not saying every faith, but if it was a majority faith in this town, I think I would be able to recognize that at least.
I think people may argue that if there is another provision in place, but I think it's the approach. It's the approach, the way she spoke to you, the way she patronized you. And if there was a health and safety concern, then say that. She didn't even mention health and safety, and that's even concerning. How did she not even think about health and safety?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it feels, this is a strong word, it feels like they're criminalizing your behavior. That I'm sure you felt like that in the moment as well.
I did, and it's not the first time this happened. There's another time where I was talking with my friends, and every time there's like prayer time, then we have to go in turn saying, can we go toilet? So when something happened one time, and one of my friends, she was taking a really long prayer or something, and my teacher was like, what is she doing? And I said, she's probably praying. And then she yelled, this certain teacher, she yelled at my friend. She was like, if you went to pray, why didn't you tell me that you went to pray? And my friend was like, it's easier just to say that I'm going toilet, because it's more acceptable if you're going toilet. If you say I'm going to pray, they might not let you. They might say, don't you have like another time to pray? Don't you have this?
Yeah, so many questions, and you're not prepared.
And
for that.
she shouted at you by saying that. She should have said that it's okay. You could have just said that next time it's fine. But it's the fact that she yelled. It just shows that this is the fear that you have against this teacher is so unhealthy. She reacted in the way that I would have just said, because you'd react like this. That's why.
Yeah. But honestly, I do remember similar situations when I was in that age as well, and the teachers for me it was the microaggressions, like they do little sighs or like, oh, couldn't you find another time to go, these little things. And the worst part is it's in front of the whole class, and even if that whole class is Muslim, even or if
it's
they're
humiliating.
Not, it's so humiliating. They literally pull you up on it and they make you feel like you've done something so wrong when you haven't. So just trying to practice your faith is this is how they respond to it. So no wonder your friend said you guys say that you need to go to the toilet instead.
Yeah, literally. We only say we're going to pray when we have a Muslim teacher, because I know they're going to understand. Maybe they might say, I'm going to pray, and we're okay with it, because one of my classes, they're all Muslims. The teacher is even Muslim as well. So it's really easy to do that.
But I don't see why it shouldn't be accepted. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not that long. Do you know what I mean? To take that time out of education. And it's your faith and it's your choice, And when you're at that age, you get to choose these things. Obviously, when you're younger, it's different when you have like 9 to 3 school. But when you're a bit older, I think, you should have that choice. The facility is there for a reason. Why does that prayer room exist then if you're not going there to pray? So you can't do half and not the other half. That's on the establishment.
Yeah, I think they don't think about female prayer spaces. So there's a whole prayer space. It's like a room, and just a little tiny bit is for us women. That's why we have to pray, or in the corridor we have to pray in this little room, and it's really just so annoying. So during Ramadan, everyone wants to pray, so they open like there's like a shoe rack thing. It's like a room for like where they put the shelves and stuff. That's what they open for us for the film.
So a little storage cupboard, basically.
Yeah, storage cupboard. And I was like, what is going on? And you can open any of the things, but they should and we have to
You should
do.
have a
We have,
dedicated space. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And before you leave, Farine, this is something you need to try. I know it's not your job and it's not your burden, but we're here now. We're here to support you. So,
Oh, thank you, guys. I don't think I will ever honestly report it. I just
Oh, it's okay. It's not your job to do that.
I think the governors should be able to, because they should see that the percentage of students that are observing the Muslim faith in the sixth form, compare that to what the provisions are. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Yeah. And just to be clear, guys, this is our opinions on the matter because we have experience from there and someone who's experiencing it right now. So we just want to, that's our story and how we feel.
And I think this experience is not just exclusive to one establishment. It's experience that I experienced in my university as well. So I think it's quite a common theme amongst a lot of Muslims who go to certain education institutions who face the same problem.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is to speak out about it. And honestly, it's such a peaceful religion. So we have our right to practice it freely. And whenever you feel like you're getting, like you said, criminalized, or they think that you're vandalizing something, speak out and report this kind of stuff. We are coming to the end of our first half. It was really great to talk with you guys. Join us in the second half where we will be reflecting on our faith and values and how they link with each other. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Sister Speak. In our first half, we were talking about Muslim prayer spaces and where to pray and kind of our difficulties of praying when going out. In this half, we're going to discuss our main topic, which is a reflection on faith and values. As I said, in the first half is our episode 3 of our Ramadan series where we are reflecting. So we're going to discuss, like I said, faith values, how they link, and what values we learn from our religion, which is Islam. So my first question is, why is reflection important to you guys? Sania, maybe you want to start us off?
Well, it kind of links into my thought of the week when I spoke about reflecting. I think it's really important because that's the only way you can kind of hold yourself accountable, but also see how you want to move forward, be better, or give yourself a pat on the back if you did something that was really good. I think why reflection is even more important as you grow older is because no one's going to do it for you. So I think when you were younger, you always had teachers. They're monitoring your behavior, what you do, your grades, whatever it is. They're there for you all the time. So they're going to give you that feedback. You have meetings, if it's a parents' evening, whatever it is, that's reflection, right? Also, you had your parents or whoever was taking care of you during that time. They keep you in check almost. But as you grow older and you leave these establishments, school or whatever, your house, there's no one else to do that. So you can just carry on and not ever stop and pause and take a moment to think. That's why it's really important, because now you have to reflect. You're the only one that's going to do that on you. Because when other people do it for you, we take it the wrong way. Like, what do you mean I did that? So you need to take that moment yourself and reflect. So I think that's why it's really important.
Yeah, I think it's like such a big jump. Even for me, you go from sixth form and now you're going to so I have to do everything by myself. I have to be so independent, which I am really scared about. But that's why reflection is important. So just take one day to sit down and be like, this is what's going to happen in the future. What about you, Mariam? Why do you think reflection is important?
I think in addition to what Sonia said, it's about taking responsibility and taking accountability of yourself. I think it's a good way of measuring your growth. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't exercise introspection, and if you don't reflect on that, then you won't really know what direction you're going to. And as Muslims, I feel that we are given a purpose, and if we are given a purpose, we need to know where we're going next and what direction we're going to. So I think reflection is really important in terms of learning about your own characteristics, in terms of your spirituality, even your own personal goals. I think reflection really provides, and I think we can even look into our religion, even from the seerah, from the Prophet ﷺ, before he was given revelation, he would go in the cave and just reflect, what's his purpose, who created this world, and that was a stepping stone in terms of having to know who is our Lord and why should we submit ourselves to God. So I think as Muslims, something's very intrinsic within our faith, and it allows us to, and it gives us scope as well for improvement as well, because if you don't really have reflection, then you won't really know where you're going wrong. And as Sonia said, if you don't know where you're going wrong, you're more likely to harm others and you're more likely to harm yourself as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. What ways do you guys reflect? So I've read so many things, and something that I want to implement in my kind of reflection on, like my religion. What I want to do is journalism. So you write your stuff, what you want to do, and it's something that I want to do. But I always say I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but I never end up doing it. So like writing, even the most is basic like knowledge about Islam or anything, just write it in a journal and read it. What you're going to do, what your goals are. So that's kind of my way that I want to reflect in the future. I don't know why I'm not doing it now. I should start, like I can start tomorrow, but I just feel like when I'm living by myself, that's when I want to do it for some reason. What ways do you guys reflect?
I want to actually ask you a question, Fareen.
Okay.
If I can.
We'll get back to that one.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. So do you feel, what barriers do you think there is that stops you from journaling? Do you think there's a sense of perfection? Because I feel like journaling is something that is such a good tool. But I feel like in social media now, people have made this certain standard or certain benchmark that you have to follow when there's no right and wrong in terms of journaling. So
it's literally just your thoughts. Your thoughts can't be right or wrong if you're not showing anyone, are you? I have no clue, Mariam. Now that you're making me, I was like, I can literally do it now. I can take a book out and write whatever I want to just write. But I still don't do it. I think it's the sense of not being alone. I'm like in my room, but I just feel like I need 1 hour just to myself with no noise, no nothing. That's why I want to, when I'm living by myself, I think I'm going to have more peace. I'm going to be a bit, I'm living by myself, but I'm going to be have more peace, I think, to write it.
I don't know if this helps, but this goes back to your initial question. Actually, sorry, Mariam, do you want to carry on?
No, go ahead, Sonia.
Okay, no. So you asked about how we reflect and so on, and this might help you because I feel like you're on social media as well as much as I am. I would say I use Instagram, and I know that sounds weird because it's like you're supposed to step away from social media almost, but I will sit there for a while. So I do sit there and reflect, but I don't need to write down anything. I can just think about it in my head, like it's just there. But then I have a Finsta, if you call it that, like a fake, not a fake, but like a burner account that no one needs to see or anything. And that I use to kind of put my projections. So like it's almost like a mood board, I guess you could call it. Pinterest is also really good for mood boards. And literally follow no one, have no one following you if you don't want it, or just have your closest friends. But you put it out there, and that for me, that's my reflection. So I'll reflect, think about it, and then put something up. It can be a picture of yourself, it could be from Google Images, it could be anything, it could be like a carousel, multiple things. And I do that, I do it without realizing, and then I look back at it like a year later and I'm like, oh yeah, I posted about this, and now look where I am. So it's almost like manifesting, I guess, as well.
It's like a visual board of what you want to do.
Exactly, but it comes after reflecting. So it's, I guess you could say, if you don't know what to do with all your reflections, it's like, what do I do with all these thoughts that I have now that I've been thinking about? There's your outlet. You can put it on Instagram, put it on Pinterest, but do it for yourself. So don't have that, like Mariam said, I think there is pressure, because me journaling, pressure, because somehow I want to make it look nice as well, and that just ruins it almost, because you're like, okay, why am I doing this for now? And you forget the reflection part of it all. So I've got the next step. I don't know about the reflecting part, but I've got the next step for you, so put it somewhere. I'm
gonna try it out. I have a Finsta, but what I do is I just post on my close friends stories. So I just talk on my in my stories, and I'm like, this is what I want to do, this is what I did today, this is what but my sister's on it, so I think she kind of makes me reflect a little bit as well.
No, it does help sometimes when you have other people seeing it, because it's like they're not holding you accountable, but it feels like they are, because you're like, oh yeah, they saw that. But it's people that you love and trust. Like it's not supposed to be something polished and curated. It's just your outlet.
Yeah,
I think for me personally, I use radio as my outlet. I feel like that has been such a good way of like releasing any energy that I have, or if I've been thinking about anything. But I also think you should try and explore different ways of having outlets. If journaling doesn't work for you, that's okay. Just use something else. Everyone finds their way of kind of releasing their kind of thoughts and having that energy directed elsewhere. But for me, I think radio has definitely been that platform. I even look back on the shows. So how you look at stories.
Yeah.
I look back on shows and I know why I said about toxic friends. I know why I said about this, because I was going through that in that moment, and sometimes I don't even realize that I make a certain thought of the week, and then I look back and I was like, I was experiencing that, and that's why I said this. It's not that I direct it to anyone, it's just that that's the feelings I had at that moment, and I reflected, okay, this is happening to me, how do I use that in a positive way, and how can I educate others so they don't experience the same thing?
Yeah, I think you made a really good point about the thought of the week. That is like literally a reflection segment of our show, but I think it is really important to say that that's our mind at the time, it could literally change 10 minutes later. Like, you know, after that reflection, especially when you get something out, you almost instantly feel better, or you know what to do about that situation. So yeah, I think it's important that we have that. I'm so happy we have radio. Do you know that?
We can always look back at it, and you can look back at it as well on Facebook at Inspire FM Luton.
Thank you, Fareed, for telling everyone. Some Facebook. And
You can also share your thought of the week with us and we can look it back.
Yep, you can post it on Twitter. We would love to know your thought of the week. Let's just move on to the next question. So, do you think we get our values from Islam, and how much do you think that faith and values link? Because I think majority of the things are personality and characteristics, they do come from a religion. So
For me personally, I would say my entire principles, morals and values, my entire moral standing comes from Islam, and I think I wouldn't have it any other way. I feel like my characteristics, if there's something that I hold myself accountable to, is my religion, and I think my religion has come down to teach me how to be a good person. And I think even if you look at how revelation was decreed, the first thing that was decreed is in terms of characteristics. It's about being truthful, being loyal, treating people with respect, and I think I love that concept of ihsan, excellence, which means ihsan means excellence, because I think when you think about that, you have to strive for excellence in every facet of your life, and to have good akhlaq, to have good manners, is one of those elements. So for me personally, I think if there's one thing that keeps me grounded in terms of my religion, and one thing that keeps me growing to love my religion more and more, is the characteristics. It's about having really strong principles and morals, to the extent that we don't just think about our Muslim brothers and sisters. We think about the community. We think about everyone, and it's all encompassing. And I think that's something so special in our religion.
wow, that's really good. I really like when you talk about these things, because it makes me think that, you know, what she's saying, I literally relate to you so much. Everything that we, loyalty and all that stuff, and to other people, it's just like when you say it's a flaw when something bad, or so when it's a virtue, loyalty, you know, friendship, having good manners. But for us, it's like it's something that Allah likes. That's what we're doing. That's why we're like this. What about you, Sonia?
Sorry, Mariam. Yeah, I agree. And also, I think that for me, it kind of keeps me in check more as well. So like if I'm in a situation where I don't know how to behave almost, or how to respond, it's like you just take that moment and you think, wait, what would be liked by God in this situation, or what would be valued? What can I do now that I can walk away and be like, do you know what, even if I've made Allah happy or done what's right by my religion, I'm at peace. And I think that is definitely something that helps me a lot in life, and especially as you grow older as well, you know, because when you're young, you feel like you can have these moments and so on, like no one again holds you accountable. When you grow older, you don't want to have any kind of disturbance or drama, so you think, what can I do, what's best in this situation? I'll give you an example, and it's actually my manager that I saw do this. So and I'm sure he won't mind me saying the story. And again, I'm not going to name any names, so no offense to anyone that was involved in this story, but it's not a bad thing. So we had someone that worked for us, and then we let them go, but it wasn't like, in terms of like legalities and contracts and so on, like there was dispute, let's just put it like that, because obviously the person who was let go was like, oh wait, I thought I have 2 weeks notice, you know, just these little things. And at first I think my manager was like going to go back and forth on it, and like, no, that's fine, we can bring the lawyers in, we can be straight. And then after a while he kind of said, do you know what, like, it's at the end of the day, if that's their risk, if that was written for them, if that's what God wanted for them, then that's fine. And I'm in a position where I can give them that wage, even though they didn't. You know, if you're in a position that you can do it. And then I think he just had that moment. And he also used the word haq, but I'm not really sure what that means.
It means you're right.
You're right. Okay. So he said that's their haq. And then, he gave them the money. So like, to avoid a long legal dispute, but also because he felt like I'm in a position where I can, and also I'll feel like I did the right thing Islamically, and then all parties involved were happy at the end of the day, and we can walk away happy. So I think that was a good example for me, where I think in a professional setting almost, where my manager used Islam to answer and solve his problem there.
Yeah, to avoid any kind of conflict. Imagine if all of us thought like this way. If everyone was like, what if we're in a bad situation, something's happening where I'm arguing with someone, what would God like me to do? And we all did that thing. It would be so peaceful.
I think it's about how we consider everyone, our responsibilities to everyone. So if we think about our responsibilities and we provide those responsibilities, then everyone will get their rights. And that's what your situation was.
Yes.
Because he knew that he's responsible for ensuring that the person that was going to be let go to get that wage, that's what she received her right. And that's why the whole situation was managed. Whereas if you only think about your rights, you're not even providing a responsibility. So that's why I think it's really important to...
No, carry on, sorry.
What's going on?
Oh, I think Mariam lost her train of thought.
So that's why I think it's important to think about your
I don't know why they're laughing, guys, but you know what? It's Ramadan. We're going through a lot.
Sorry, we're like
We're
hungry.
hungry,
We're like
yeah.
tired. It's coming to the end. Let's just move on to the next session. So,
actually no, I want to finish off.
okay, yeah, you finish off.
So yeah, I was just as I was saying, I think it's really important to think about your responsibility towards others, and I think even for me that keeps me accountable, because if I can constantly think about this right wasn't provided for me, this person didn't treat me right, I feel like you become really angry and really upset. But when you think about, okay, Allah gave me this responsibility and I want to provide that responsibility, then everyone in all parties involved become happy. So I think that's kind of my train of thoughts. I think, and then again, that's answering your question in terms of where does our morals and principles come from. It really genuinely does come from Islam, because we think of ourselves as a separate entity. We think of ourselves beyond ourselves. We think about our Allah is going to hold us accountable, and so therefore we need to behave in a certain way.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's something really good that my Quran teacher said to me, and she said whenever there's like a grudge or something like that, you apologize to that person. If that person doesn't apologize to you back, then it's not your fault. At least you did your part. So I think that's really good. Let's just move on to the next question: values and faith. So, what are important values to you in life? So, what would be like the 3 top things that you want to include in your life?
Is it
As
like,
values.
do you mean Islam related or just in
Just in general.
So in terms of values, in terms of what you think is the most important to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think for me it's emotional intelligence. I think that's something that's extremely close to my heart. I feel like when you exercise emotional intelligence, it helps you encompass all the other good characteristics, because again, you're thinking about others, you have empathy towards another person, you hold yourself accountable, because you cannot be emotionally intelligent if you don't hold yourself accountable. So you exercise introspection, and I think it keeps you humble as well. So I think that for me, that's like one of my main kind of values that really kind of makes me strive to be a better person. I think the second value is understanding that I have a greater purpose, if that can be regarded as a virtue or a value, because I think sometimes it's so easy to be shackled by all these institutions or all these things around you, and you just think you're a slave of all of these things, social media, work. But actually, it's quite liberating to know that I'm a slave of Allah, and all He wants out of me is just to be a good person and just try for the best. So I think those 2 values for me are the things that kind of are my driving force. And I think the third thing is about community. I think community is something that's really important. I think even when you look at data, and a lot of data is coming out, when people have these 3 things, purpose and a sense of community, they're actually more successful. So I think that as well for me is really important, to know that I'm a part of a community, know that I have to contribute as a person in the community as well.
Wow. Do you think your values, you could like show them in action? So emotional intelligence and...
Yeah, I think I've tried to. I think I try my best to exercise those things to the best ability. But also, I think I'm proactive in terms of picking people around me that are already striving or already have these characteristics, because then I can see a tangible way where I can strive towards that too.
Mashallah. Mariam, you're so smart. Like, I just listen to you talk and I'm like, wow, she's so
I agree. Sometimes everything that Mariam says is like, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I
need to write a book.
You
Mariam.
do.
Oh my god.
I will buy that.
These guys are too kind to me. These are just the kindness of my friends.
And now, if you're going to ask me this question, I just want to copy Mariam, to be honest.
I feel the same way.
After that, we should have left it till the end. After that, I don't really know what to say. I think I was going to say it in much more simple terms, because I'm so simple. But I was going to say, when you leave a room or leave meeting a person for the first time or so on, I want to strive, and I think is a value that I do hold, is that you should try to be your best self in every situation. I know it's easier said than done, because like I even mentioned in my thought of the week, I was not my best self last week, and there's so many ups and downs that we have as people. But you don't know who that person is, what they might mean to you in the future. It may be good, it may be bad, but it is that thing, like, you should just leave that impression where anyone that's met you is like, oh yeah, no, like they're a decent person. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be singing your praises, but they shouldn't really be saying something bad about you either. That's how I feel. But if you're not a bad person. So yeah, I think that's one of the values I would say, like, I kind of hold closely. Like,
I think you emulate that as well. I genuinely think that you have that characteristic.
Oh,
I don't think you've ever left a room someone thought, wow, Sani is such a bad person.
And I actually think it's so inspiring then how you just, in your thought of the week and how you felt that I acknowledge that I didn't do well that day and my emotions got the better of me. However, you actually proactively called someone to let them know. And I think that's such a beautiful way. And I think it's a lesson learned for all of us that we could just do that, because what harm would that be to us in the future?
Yeah.
Nothing. I think ego is a big role to
It's
play
a
in
big,
these
big
things,
thing.
because you just feel that you feel inferior when you do that, but actually it's not. I think we have no standing in terms of holding ego, having pride. That all is attributed to Allah. So yeah, I think that's really inspirational.
Thank you, Maria. We're all being so sweet to each other today. But yeah,
we always are.
I know, we always are. I think that kind of helped me with another value, so the ego thing. I think something I should always try to remember. And it's funny because when I was in sixth form, one of the staff members said this. They sent like a long email out, and it was, don't take yourself too seriously. And it was about ego, and it was about remembering how big the world is and how little you are.
Wow.
I guess it's about humbling yourself as well. It's a bit like you serve a greater purpose. It's similar to that as well. Like, this world is temporary, but also whatever moment you might have just been in there is temporary. It brings up also that word embarrassment that you said a few weeks ago. I don't really get embarrassed. If I do, like, yeah, you can, obviously we feel that embarrassment. You can't help it. You do feel it sometimes, but it's something that I can let go just as quickly as it came. I can absolutely let go. I think that's something I hold really strongly. So, it's that whole thing of other people's opinions affecting you and this and that. Obviously, there's something that you should take an inch of that. Like, if your parents' opinion, it should affect you a little bit maybe, or people that you care about. But yeah, in general, I think that's something that I hold closely, is just letting things go and remembering that you're really, really small in the world of 8 billion people.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay.
No, I think one of the things that I definitely, in my observation of you, I think you definitely do emulate that. So what would you say to the people who struggle with that? Because I definitely feel like I struggle to let go. And I think a lot of us do struggle with holding the opinions of others very strongly. So what advice would you give to us?
Oh, I don't know. I think you just have to remember that everything is last week's news. That's like a phrase, that's last week's news. It really, really is. And look at social media trends. Look at the news. Things that you thought were huge, like the biggest thing ever. People forget about it. People forget about it. And then just remember who you are. Like, even when you do like a blunder or a slip up, right? Everyone's done it. We are all human. Believe me, people understand, no matter how high up they may seem or fancy they may seem. They're just like you and I. Like, we're all humans at the end of the day. And yeah, just give yourself more credit in these situations. Think that doesn't define who I am. Like, I'm more than that. And if that person doesn't know it, then they're stupid, because we're all humans. So
Yeah, we all breathe the same air, don't we, at the end of the day? And like you said, so there's something trendy one week, and then the other
I'm
week
telling you,
everyone
just
forgets
think of
about
the
it.
news, things that we think are huge. Like, I'm going to give an example. Do you remember, I think it was January last year, when the White House was like stormed and trashed, and do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
But do you even, Farine,
I don't even remember.
There you go. But it was huge. It was like a massive thing. You thought this is going to go down in history or whatever. We didn't talk about it like 2 weeks down the line. It's a joke now. It's like a meme almost. So
Yeah.
big things that happen. And it's sad to say that even things that should be remembered, like people in hunger maybe, or earthquakes, for example,
Like Turkey and Syria.
move on so fast. People move on so
So
fast.
true.
We're already talking about the next thing. It's not a good thing almost, but it should remind you, if you ever feel embarrassed, don't, because people move on so quick.
Yeah, we have to stop thinking about what will people say. And I think with this, it comes a lot with, I think if when you're like in a community, that your parents are kind of, don't do this, don't do that, because what will people say? What my friends but are they gonna be with you when you're like 10 years down the line doing something? They're not gonna be there to in your ear going, this is what you did, this is what you did.
Reminder, this is what you did 10 years ago.
Yeah, literally no one cares. And I think I say this, but I still care so much about what people think about me.
Even if people do care, Farine, is that you need to remember that's on them, not on you. Let them care, because if you don't, they'll think, okay, I'm a weirdo now for holding on to this, and they should let go. And even if they don't, you just have to. It's hard. It's easier said than done, but it's just something you need to practice. I
think that's what it is. You have to practice this, and as time will go, it'll kind of compound, and then you will able to adopt that. Because there's so many things that I used to struggle with, and now I just don't really think about it. And I think that comes with time, age, and experience, essentially.
It does. So we still have 2 minutes left.
You didn't answer the question yourself.
Oh, I didn't. Let's see. My values in life. I think loyalty and patience. It's something that I'm strongly like passionate about, and I like it when I think I'm a loyal person. I like to think I'm a loyal person, and there's just values that even if you're not Muslim, I think that everyone should have. And patience is also one of the things I'm always talking about. This is so important to me, and I think I'm such a patient person sometimes, but when I'm not a patient person, I'm like getting annoyed or something, I try not to do it. I try not to say anything, not to do anything. And I think if everyone was patient, not everyone was had an attitude or was like rushing you into things, then everyone would be so peaceful. So loyalty and patience is what I'm taking for my 2 values. Thank you, Asania, for asking me that question. I almost forgot to mention it. So we have 2 minutes left, 1 minute actually. So I'm just gonna ask you really quickly, how can faith make a difference in your life? We have 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. So like a quick answer.
Like a
How can
quick
faith
answer.
make a difference? It can help you in respond to situations accordingly. It can solve your problems, like an example I gave earlier in the workplace. And also it can just help you with like family situations, because I think with family a lot it's not professional, so you don't have like policies and procedures and so on, right? But you actually kind of do, because that's what the Quran is for, and that's what our religion is for as well. So if you're ever in a struggle and you're looking for answers and you just don't know where to go, where to turn, I think use our religion for that.
I also think it gives you a sense of hope. It gives you a sense of belonging, and you know that you're loved beyond, a huge extent.
Yeah, I think it's such a like how do you say, like structure religion, like so organized that we just, if there's something that you don't know about, someone might know it, and you do your research yourself. So if you don't know anything about the religion, you can just ask, and everyone just knows what to do or what to say. So that's why faith is a really good important. So this is so we are coming to the end, towards the end of our show. It was really great talking about faith, values, how they link, and what values we learn from religion. If you do have any thoughts, or if you want to tell us about your values or something that matters to you, do let us know on Instagram at SisterSpeak.
And Twitter?
And Twitter, yes, as SisterSpeak_FM. Let us know your thought of the week, your values, your faith, or just anything. We would be happy to talk about it on our show or just repost it. So
thank you for both of you for sharing your insights. I think it was really
thank you for having us, Fareen.
It was a really great show, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.